Elizabeth Judith, your courage coach with your cup of courage for the day and continuing my series on dealing with negative people. If this is a subject that interests you, I recommend that you start with part 1 and go from there, because most of these videos are going to be building one on top of the other. But today we're going to be talking about changing the subject. Once we decide that we want to surround ourselves with more positive energy and more positive people, one of the things that happens when we encounter someone who is being negative, they're talking negatively either about us or themselves or the political climate or the world in general, everything is going to hell in a handbasket. One of the things most of us eventually try is to change the subject. And first off, let me just say that I think that's a viable choice. That is a great strategy to use, and it's something that I use myself. So what do I have to add to this conversation today? Why do I need to make a video about that then? Well, something that I've noticed from my own experience and from working with and watching other people try on this strategy is that one of the things that can have a huge impact on whether or not we're successful with that has to do with what I covered in those first 2 parts of this series. The energy, our vibration, our thoughts, our story, our meaning that we are engaging in around whatever it is that's going on with this other person is going to have the biggest impact on whether or not we're going to be successful with that. So if we are telling ourselves that what's going on with this other person is a problem, that it's not okay, that it's bad, that it can have a negative impact on us, if we are not believing in our own power, that we're thinking that they can bring us down and this is bad for them too and bad for the world and we have to fix this and we have to control what they're doing over there in order for everything to be okay, that if we bring that energy to the action of changing the subject, it is most likely not going to have the effect that we want. It's going to affect how that other person receives that and how they respond. It reminds me a lot of my dog, Shadow, who passed over 10 years ago. I know that sounds silly, but I loved that dog. He was the best. And when Shadow would do something that he knew was wrong, say he grabbed a ball of paper out of the garbage can, or he found a pen on the floor and he picked it up, he walked around completely transformed. Every ounce of his being was changed. He was sneaking around. His energy, his physical expression, everything was shouting out to the world, I'm doing something I'm not supposed to do. It was so strong that if he walked into the room and my back was even turned to him, I could feel it. I had to turn around and be like, what's going on? And then there he would be. I could see him slinking across the room, and it just cracked me up. I just thought it was so adorable. But it wasn't because I was psychic, though I am an intuitive coach. I'm very intuitive, but this is something that happened to other people as well. Everyone could feel this. They didn't even have to be looking at him. And this is the way we respond to everyone in our lives. The truth is, we are all intuitive and energetic beings, and we're picking up on other people's energy. Whether we can articulate what it is exactly or not, we can kind of tell when something is off. We can sense when someone isn't confident or doesn't believe in themselves or is judging us, or even if we don't know specifically what it is, we can tell something is off, and it will affect how we respond to them. And this is a big part of what they're talking about in the law of attraction. It isn't as woo-woo and as magical as we want to make it be sometimes. The truth is it's simply a matter of people are picking up on your energy. And when you are positive and believing in yourself and believing in them and excited about what you're doing, that energy is contagious, and people are going to want to play with you more. They're going to want to create opportunities. They're going to want to work with you. Things are going to happen. I think where it gets magical is we don't realize how far-reaching that energy can go, and how far-reaching it can affect what we bring into our lives. But there's really nothing magical going on here. And that's exactly what is going on when we're taking an action like changing the subject. Our energy that we are bringing to that is absolutely going to have an effect on how that other person receives it. So go ahead and try to change the subject. No, that's a great idea, to something more positive. But make sure that you're coming from having done the energy work that I talked about in part 1 and 2. First, make sure that you're coming from a place of knowing that everything's okay, nothing's wrong here, nothing's wrong with them, I don't have to fix them, everything's okay. If they don't change the subject with me, it's not going to mean that bad things are going to happen to me, and that I'm going to be negatively affected. This is a great opportunity for us to practice our energy, to practice building our character and our strength of being an energy generator. The only reason why they can have a bad effect is because our own positive energy isn't strong enough. We haven't practiced holding on to that enough to where we have the stronger vibration. That's why we're open to being influenced. And so if we can do that work first, and the other thing that I would like to mention when we're changing the subject is that it can help to come from something that I learned from Abraham Hicks. I call it taking the bounce. And that is that we simply are noticing. It's okay to notice that something is in our space that is not necessarily what we want. We can notice the contrast. There's nothing wrong when we have contrast in our life. That actually in itself creates a negative reaction to us. It's okay to have things that are not desirable in our space. It makes us more aware of what we do want. It makes us more clear about what we want, and it ramps up our desire for what it is that we then want. The problem is we're staying stuck on what that prompt was, which was the contrast, the negative experience. But if we quickly go to the bounce, what it's generating in us, the heightened desire for what we do want, and the clarity for what we do want. So in this case, it'd be that we want to be talking about positive things. So nothing's wrong over here. Oh, we're talking about something negative, and I want to talk to this person about something positive. So while they're going about their business, nothing's wrong. Start thinking about the positive things you want to talk about with this person. And so when you're changing the subject, it's not coming from fixing or stopping whatever they're doing as if, something's wrong and we're trying to control that situation. It's coming from having taken the bounce and going, oh, by the way, no, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've been wanting to ask you, what do you think about, or what do you, whatever that is. And that comes from a completely different energy. And of course, we can't guarantee how that's going to be received. Whenever we're dealing with another person, we don't have full control over how they are going to respond. But our greatest point of influence is from our own energy. And when it comes from that place, that innocent place of not trying to fix them or anything wrong, but actually just wanting to move towards what it is that we do want. We want to talk about something positive. If we do it from there, we're going to have the highest chance of it going the way that we want and bringing about the desired result. So that's my offering to you today on this subject. Go ahead and change the subject. Just make sure that you work on your energy first and go out there and live from your courageous heart.